Hi, this is Pat, the artist behind Freestyle Fine Art. Today we're going to be talking about student grade paints, just kind of comparing and contrasting, um, the different benefits to each one. So we are going to start off with the Winsor & Newton Sketcher Box. This is probably one of the most common ones I've seen most people start off with. It's a good set. It has, the split primaries with the cool and warm yellow, cool and warm red, then the cool and warm blue. The one I have, I feel like they gave me two intense blues instead of an ultramarine like they're supposed to, but it mixes well. This, or as the time of this, at the time that I am filming this video, in late July of 2018, this box is going for $16.97 on Amazon. Fair warning, I did actually switch out this color right here. In the original box, it comes with a Chinese white, but I'm a little bit of a watercolor traditionalist. I don't really use white unless I'm using a gouache or a white gel pen to add on those bright highlights. So I just took it out and put in some Payne's Gray from the 1862 line of Lucas, which is a not horrible paint. So this is this one. It mixes really well. You can make some nice neutrals, some nice greens, some okay purples. I think that's because I got the two intense blues on this one. This is honestly my first suggestion if you're just starting out with watercolor and if you don't really know what to buy. This would definitely be a good one to start off with. It's cheap, it's effective, it works, it's small, you can literally throw it in your bag and you're good to go. This one does come with a tiny little travel brush that I honestly don't think I've ever seen anybody use. It's cute, doesn't hold a lot of water, but it's cute, so that's a thing. So I'm just going to set this one aside. Next we have the Lucas Studio paints, which I actually really like these. I actually just picked this one up today for this video. I'm generally a big fan of Lucas. If you are in the States, Jerry's Artorama is the only licensed retailer for them. One of my favorite things is it doesn't come with white or black. It comes with a Payne's Gray, which can read as black, but it's often a very cool tone. I like using it a lot for adding shadows or adding a little bit of depth to some colors. One thing that a lot of people don't like about this set is that it does come with the olive green as opposed to a sap green. I actually love the way that this olive green granulates. Like, look at that. I love it. This magenta is actually a light fast pigment, surprisingly. When I first saw that, it reminded me of the Opera Rose. This is a pretty good set as of the filming of this video. It goes for $17.99 at Jerry's Artorama. They do run sales a lot, so you can actually get it for cheaper. It does have a little spot to hold a brush, one of those little travel brushes. Actually, let's see if the Winsor & Newton one fits. It does. What do you know? But I will say this. I actually like the palette for the Winsor & Newton one better than the Lucas one. Like, the pans don't sit flush in this, and that kind of bothers me. And like, I closed it with it was mildly wet. All I had done with this palette so far is the swatch. The paints are mildly wet. They have a little bit of a line on this lower one, especially this olive green here. Like here. A little bit of a crease on it. And the pans don't really sit well into it. And one thing you could do is you could just pop the pans out and just put the paints directly into the little wells. I've seen some people do that. This one's pretty good. It's a good solid choice. I really like the Lucas brand. You've only gone wrong with me one way, and that's their professional Payne's Gray, which I really don't like, but I actually really prefer the student grade version of it more than the professional grade, surprisingly. Then my next one I'm going to suggest is the Prima Classics. This one I've seen a lot of crafters use. It's not the best paint quality, but I really do love the palette for it. It's more of a traditional watercolor sketcher's box. There is another palette really similar to this that's oftentimes sold, which is sold with as the Lucas 1862 paints. One thing I've heard a lot of people complain about is that this part right here, it goes all the way down like that. With this one, it actually stays up, so you don't have to worry about your paint dribbling off the edges here. These paints are really low quality. They don't give any pigment information at all on them, which is really kind of worrisome. But if you're just starting out, you generally don't necessarily care that your stuff is incredibly archival because it's not super relevant, because you're going to be wasting a lot of paint and a lot of paper. That's just the name of the game. So one thing I do not like about this set is it comes with a gray, a black, and a white. I generally mix my blacks, and I reserve the white of the paper for the whites. This gray also just does seem kind of like a useless color to me. It's honestly, you could mix it, but you know, that's just me. Overall, pretty decent set. At the time of filming, this one runs for $18.33 on Amazon.com. Prices do fluctuate, all that fun stuff. Oh, also one thing you can do is as you get better and you start placing your paints, you can actually take these little pans out. And one thing you can do, which I have done with an extra palette of mine, is you can get full pans, which are essentially just two of these tiny pans put together with no divider in the middle, and you can fill it up with a select amount of colors. I believe I have mine somewhere around here. Just a second. It's actually in my travel bag. I did buy a second Prima tin. Ooh, I need to place this back in. And I put some different colors in it. There we go. You can do that as well. I don't suggest starting off with the tubes and filling up your pans this way, because you don't necessarily know what you're going to need when you're first starting out. I usually do a split primary palette, which is 2 of each color. And I actually added 2 neutrals here, a burnt umber and a Payne's gray. This is actually the Lucas 1862 Payne's gray. You see how it reads more black than this student grade Payne's gray, which reads a more blue, which is more true to the actual color. And this is one option you can do, and this is actually one of the reasons that I suggest this paint, is because it does have the ability to upgrade really easily. I'm going to put this back. So yeah, this is a good one, and like I said, as of the time I'm filming it, it's running for $18.33 on Amazon. The next one is another Winsor & Newton Cotman set. This is the compact set. It's running for $22.19 at the time of filming. This one actually comes with a slightly more useful travel brush, which I think I've only used once. I don't even know why I still have the sleeve on. As you can tell, it doesn't really hold a point, even when I wet it. I mean, the point's okay, but you can actually tell where they sheared it off. And that kind of bothers me a little bit personally. But this paint, or this palette, does come with a wider range of colors as opposed to the other Cotman set, which is here. I'm definitely a big fan of it. It has a decent purple. It actually has 2 separate blues, but it does come with a cerulean blue, which in my opinion isn't the best, because most companies mix it as a phthalo blue or intense blue for Winsor & Newton and a white, which makes it this really opaque color, which is great if you're painting skies, but if you aren't, it's kind of like, why even bother? This one did come with a white as well that I changed out for the Payne's gray, just so it could have a cool neutral. This is, again, the Lucas 1862. Honestly, I'm just trying to go through that paint so that I can get rid of it and call it a day. And then last but not least, there are a lot of reviews on this one. This is the Sakura Koi 24 set. Mine actually has a lot of pictures, or a lot of stickers on it from places I like to go around town. One thing I love about this palette is that it literally has everything you need except for the paper to actually paint. It has a travel water brush, which I keep filled up, that you can easily screw in. And one thing, it does screw on backwards compared to what most of us are used to. Righty-tighty, I guess, yeah. And you can just, let the pan, start painting, have some fun. This is a really, really fun set to work with. This is actually my second Koi set. I almost completely ran one down, and then I actually gave it to a friend of mine after filling it up with some really, really awesome paints by Golden. Their watercolor line called Core, which I will be doing a review of later. It is by far one of my favorite paints to work with. But this is a really fun set to work with as well. It's, at the time of filming, it runs for $24.89 at Jerry's Artorama. They do have smaller and larger sets. Generally, I am for reducing the amount of colors that you have access to when you're in the beginning so that you can learn to mix better. But the thing is about these paints is they get really chalky and they get really dulled down when you mix them out a ton. Like these are essentially the mass tone of most of the colors. They're bright, they're vivid. The Payne's gray and the black look pretty similar. The Payne's gray granulates a little more, which some people who are new to watercolor don't really like. I personally am a fan of it. Their ultramarine doesn't granulate a whole ton. Like it's really flat. A lot of the colors are really samey. They don't have a lot of the character that you would expect in a more professional line, but at the same time, this set of paints is running for less than $25, so kind of get what you pay for. Overall, my go-to recommendations for someone who is new and on a budget would be Common Sketcher box or the Lucas Studio box, because I actually recommend the Lucas box over the Winsor & Newton box more, purely because it doesn't come with a white. And I feel that the colors are much more vivid in the Lucas line than they are in the Winsor & Newton line. Also, I kind of have problems with Winsor & Newton. Like, yes, they're one of the oldest watercolor companies out there. And yes, they are the reason that we have tube colors. But they've been writing on the tube color thing for literally 140 years. Give me something new, please. These are my two go-to recommendations for someone just starting off with watercolor. If you have any questions, please leave it down in the comments. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for tuning in.